Hello, and welcome to Roll to One, your favorite place for tabletop RPGs. My name is Ross, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today we're going to be reviewing the newly released movie Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Before we get too deep into this discussion, I just think that we should all introduce ourselves. We have a couple new faces, or relatively new faces, for the longtime viewers. If you're coming across our channel for the first time, all of us are new faces, so it doesn't really matter.
That's facts. Well said.
True. So let's just have everyone go around the table and introduce themselves.
Okay, I guess I'll start. Yeah. My name is Zane Knight. I work on Roll to One's video stuff, and I play D&D.
I'm Jaden. I'm sometimes a player, most of the time a DM. Some might even say forever DM. Yeah.
I am Taylor Springer, and I'm, just here.
Facts.
Cool. I'm Andy. I'm also here most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, usually.
Yeah.
I'm Ross. I was on the space
Orbit 2-1.
Yeah, Orbit 2-1.
The space one shot.
Yeah,
you can refer to
space
it like
one
that.
shot. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name at the moment. Several months back, and glad to be in another video.
Yeah, haven't had you back. Clearly hasn't worked out for some reason.
I'm kind of busy.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm Jacob Mestock. I was also on the Orbit 2-1 one shot, but I also am in the other D&D campaigns, and I do some of the sound stuff for Roll21.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So I have a few questions. I took some notes while at the movie last night. We saw it last night, opening night, the 31st, and it was just kind of a late movie, so we've had about 18 hours to digest and kind of think about the movie. So we're going to start off with a non-spoiler review, and I'm just going to open up the table. What did you guys think non-spoilery?
Do you go in order or just vibe?
Just vibe.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
I just
Sounds like you got something to say,
I just
Jaden.
loved that movie, though. Listen. All right, here's the thing. From like a totally absent of political perspective, the movie was objectively an enjoyable blockbuster comedy that appealed to most people, and you should leave with a smile on your face.
Is it a comedy, though?
I enjoyed and laughed most of the time.
There were a lot of comedic moments.
I laughed
I would
most
agree.
of the time.
I would categorize it as a comedy. Is it
Oh,
it's the primary category that I would categorize it as? No. It's definitely a kind of
What are you
going to
categorize it as?
I like adventure.
Yeah.
If that's a category, I'll take that.
Adventure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Adventure comedy?
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
should
I
be.
think that's what it is now.
Yeah.
Fantasy adventure comedy.
Correct.
Yeah,
Fantasy adventure comedy. Yeah.
All right.
It's a heist movie, too.
It was.
Yeah.
It had
Yeah.
an element of
It
that.
counted that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's a spoiler because it's in the title.
It's
Correct.
about thieves.
If they're not stealing anything, it's Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah, but that's not really a... Also, I still have... after seeing it, spoiler free, no idea why it's called that.
I do.
I feel like I
Nope.
kind of get it.
I mean, I get it now that you're saying it.
I was about to say, I disagree with that. We can
I
discuss
think
that in the spoiler
it's just,
section.
It's a phrase.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Like Sly Cooper, Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Exactly. I have that.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
I feel like this was a D&D movie, or this was a movie that actually, I don't know, took into consideration some of the like Easter eggs and stuff that like the fans appreciate.
I mean, even more than the Easter eggs. It was like, I mean, yes. Yeah, but even more than that, it felt like a game that we could have played.
Yeah. There
Like
were a lot of those moments.
The whole thing, it was like, if there was somebody saying all of those things, you would have been like, yeah, this happened.
I'd actually be a little bit surprised if someone didn't make this campaign.
Well, when we get
what's written
to
down.
the not spoiler stuff, I'm going to talk about what I think they did to make those characters.
True. But I mean, in general, the concept is like
Yeah.
of this being a campaign. I can see it happening.
So do you think that they ran a campaign just like among the writers or
That's
just
such a good idea, but no.
No, okay. All right.
No.
I mean, it would just be interesting to see the process of how they came up with the story because obviously very D&D, a lot of
Probably rolled a
nods.
d20.
I mean, you literally like, but I'm not without going into detail. And when I did design a Dungeons and Dragons game, pick a villain, pick a starting location, have a setting. Everything else comes out of that, and then
Okay.
basically the backstory of your main characters lead you into that.
Okay.
And so if you're designing a backstory for a generic D&D movie, you pick the basic, and then you slightly deviate and move on. Like
Okay.
that's exactly what you would do. And I'm not saying that this movie did that or didn't do that. I'm just saying that like if I was going to do that, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, it felt like it was very fair, and like it was like, okay, we're not going to stretch it too far to make it different from what the source material is as far as like how a D&D game works. Like it felt like we said, like you could have played this game. Whereas I feel like a lot of movies, they take an IP and it's just because like it has a built-in fan base or audience. They're like, okay, we have the name, we have the look and feel
And
visually.
that's all we need.
That's all we need. So now, like, we're just going to make it appeal to what we think the masses like, and then it ends up alienating fans, and the masses are like, "What? This is what?" You know. So,
So Taylor, as our resident, or the person that has the least amount of experience with Dungeons and Dragons, did you ever feel lost with the Dungeons and Dragons theme, and what were your thoughts about all that?
Well, I mean, somebody who doesn't really have a background in it, I feel like they did a good job doing backstories kind of throughout it, so I could kind of follow along and understand like what they were leading to. So I think they did a good job with that aspect, and I think they did a good job just kind of including everybody, not just fans.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Whereas they just throw out a single name and Jaden knows exactly what's going
Correct.
on. But they gave you enough information to say, oh, these guys are evil. I understand now.
Right. Exactly.
So you don't need to have a large knowledge base of Dungeons and Dragons to enjoy this movie.
No, I don't think so at all.
All right.
No.
All right. Does anyone have any other kind of big non-spoilery thoughts
Yeah, I
before
mean,
we
go
go?
see the movie. Like, there's really not much else to like.
Yeah.
You're here
Yeah.
for the review. Let's review the crud out of
I'd
that.
say you should. Well, I suppose that's a takeaway. Should people see it? I'd say yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I was going to say that to the end, but yeah, I think everyone should see it. It's just it's a fun movie that you can enjoy with friends or family. It is appropriate for most ages. I probably wouldn't take super young kids to it.
You
but
could take a 10-year-old and he'd be okay.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
there's a surprising lack of blood.
Yeah, blood and
It
gore.
was a
None of
pretty
that.
bloodless
No.
movie,
Yeah. I agree.
which Dungeons and Dragons is generally like super violent.
I would-
Can
I
be.
mean-
Yeah, it depends. So here's the thing: like, it depends on your DM, right? So
Yeah.
this DM chose to look away from all the violence, and even there's a reference to the fact that's like, I don't want to be here for that, and he, almost leaves the room.
Oh,
So in a
yes.
lot of
Good-
ways, you
good
can
catch.
tell that the
Yeah.
writers had like. It just again, spoiler free. You can tell that the writers they saw themselves as the dungeon master. They didn't see themselves as a director. They didn't see themselves as filmmakers. They saw themselves as a DM. And so every bit of the tone was very singular person. I
Right.
felt.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like, it felt like, that's why I felt like we could have played it, because I was like, oh yeah, I could see myself making these rationalizations for these decisions.
Right.
And everything kind of played out the way that, not necessarily that you wanted it to, because there's obviously tension, but like the way that you could expect, and then the twists are also post expected. You're like, what a satisfying payoff, rather than a, man, you stabbed me in the back and this is a terrible movie. Like, take The Gray Man for example, or something like that, that just like spins it and you're like, didn't want that, didn't expect that, thank you, no thank you. So the Dungeons & Dragons did a good job in that context.
Okay. All right. Any last second thoughts? Going once?
I'm ready for spoilers.
Twice.
You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
thought that should have been at the end. That's sort of like a thesis for what we're going to say now. It's like, we say you should go. Here's why.
So for viewers who don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and sign off and leave any
Or just turn around and plug your ears.
yeah, that works too. I don't know how long this is exactly going to last, but
you know,
may
you're waiting, go watch us
go
play
watch
D&D or something.
Just leave us
Just
a
turn
like.
around in wherever you are and start screaming.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
But first, hit that like button, leave a comment,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
and then come back and watch the rest of the video when you've seen the movie. Let us
Very
know your
important.
thoughts.
If you don't like
Yep.
and comment, I hope you roll 4 fireballs centered on self.
And 5 nat
mean-
ones.
All right, spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler discussion. Oh. I think all the characters were either relatable or awesome. I loved, again, Chris Pine's character.
So good.
I feel like he probably had the best character arc of this movie.
He started with backstory and ended with conclusionary information. So yeah, it's like it's
True.
no other character did
Yeah.
that.
True, but from a D&D perspective, I don't know, like, what was this character? It felt like he was supposed to be a bard.
Oh,
he was,
that-
he was
Yeah.
almost.
Mastermind
Did he
rogue.
do anything bardly
He helped at
other
range.
than
He's a rogue.
playing a lute?
He's a rogue.
I mean, yeah.
But
Rogue masquerading as a bard.
maybe like it feels like the writers were like, oh, our lead's going to be a bard because duh. And then
Yeah,
they
I
were
mean,
like,
that's
Sure.
oh, but actually it just makes more sense for him to functionally be a rogue for all these scenes. And so,
Well, I mean, so take for example like a movie that did really well, like Avatar, right? And part of what makes your main character so good in that movie is that that character is just as unaware of the setting as you are. And so in a lot of ways, it would make sense if Chris Pine's character, Ed, was like, oh, I know this spell, I know that spell, I know this. He would be almost like Jake Sully if he understood all of the Avatar stuff going into it.
sure.
Right? So it's like, if you notice, even in scenes where they're like, yeah, I've heard of him too, I've heard of him too, and they're around the fire, and he's like, I didn't know this information.
Yeah.
He's right there with us. And so if he had magic, he wouldn't be right there with us because none of us have magic.
But just like one spell.
He's the quintessential human fighter in a lot of ways.
To make it more relatable to the viewer.
I see.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm curious for the D&D lore nerds because I'm not much of I'm not very proficient in the details of the game world. Where did they stray?
Oh, well, okay. So Elminster is white, and I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
No, like that's not a problem. Like, and it's here's the thing, and that happens all the time. So I guess I don't have an issue.
True, in
and-
like all
And-
movies.
And,
That's
and
just
who is this
D&D
character that you're
lore
talking about?
So
versus
Elminster is
movie
the
making.
great grandfather of, and this character's name is Simon Omar, Aumar, Au. I think it's
Yeah,
Aumar.
played by Justice Smith.
The wizard.
Correct.
He's a
Or sorcerer.
Yeah, because wizards. Whatever.
Yeah, so-
Actually, I had a very big issue with the fact that she's a wizard and not once did she have her book out because that is her spellcasting focus. She requires to have her book on her person in order to cast spells, and I'm irritated that it wasn't used. Because wizards and sorcerers, wizards don't cast spells with their hands in my head, but that's fine.
They did describe her as a wizard.
And that's
Yeah,
well,
sure.
A
right,
red wizard.
because they are the red wizards of Thay, of course.
Yeah.
True. But that also seems like a title.
Also, this is not maybe not an issue, but I just off the top of my head, I'm sure there are women red wizards of Thay, but that are famous, and I don't know. So I think it's interesting that they created one. So if you wanted to be a bad bitch and be, what was her name?
The character's name was Sophina, and she was
Right.
played by
and,
Daisy
and you
Head.
have her to relate to, and I think that's cool because now you have a woman red wizard of Thay, which is cool. Actually, like I genuinely like that. But the straying deviation wise, I'm the only one who's really read all the lore.
At the table, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than like rules things, and like we made jokes, like you
Sure.
have the ending
Speak
of the
with Dead.
end of the movie. No, that's a 10-minute duration.
Right.
Right, so that
Yeah.
guy would not have lasted that long. But also, here's the thing: like they did pay homage to the rules, though. Right? He's like, "What's the range on that?" Right? Great
Yeah,
question.
How
you
many
know,
questions?
like all those things, and then they paid attention to like party order, right? It's like I'll go last. Like what a sorcerer thing to do, right? And so it's just, you get that,
Yeah.
you get those like little moments of like, yeah, they're playing D&D. So I don't really have an issue because what's super awesome about this IP is that it is different for everyone at home. It is different for everyone's game.
Yeah.
So if you're Elminster's Black, you're Elminster's Black. I don't have an issue. I don't have a problem. In my games, Elminster is the way that Gary Gygax made him to be. And that doesn't have to be the case. Mordenkainen looks the way that Mordenkainen does. Mordenkainen, that's an arcane sigil, not a Mordenkainen lock thing. That does not exist, right? But what does exist is that helmet spell, which is a cool thing. Reference to Morden. That's actually Mordenkainen who invented the spell that helmet uses.
Okay.
It was a spell, not an item, but they made it an item to counter Mordenkainen's thing. So they did pay homage to what it
Yeah,
was.
right.
I was like, that's cool.
They
So-
name dropped him at least, you know.
Right, and they name dropped plenty of people. I mean, it was even the.
What did she call him? Morty Caney?
What's so funny is that you guys did that too.
I know.
In our game, if you go and watch ours, you guys are like Morty. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. So they
Do tend to
I
remember
don't think you
things.
can deviate from this IP.
Well, but like, so you mentioned to me
Oh, I
earlier
see.
when we saw the trailer, the wild shaping into an owlbear.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's another rules thing though. right? Like that's why I'm like, if the rules are being bent, fine. But if you're bending, like, for example, if we went to Neverwinter, and Neverwinter was like consistently slums right up until the main location,
Sure.
I would have a problem because Neverwinter is a metropolis known for its trade and amazingly articulate way of being built. And you even saw the magic blue lanterns in this town, like letting you know the high society, high class place that this is, because Neverwinter's between like Baldur's Gate and then like, you know, all these different places, you know, Icewind Dale, they go right there. Like it's super cool that they do all that. But if it deviated from those things, then I would say that it would be unfaithful.
That's more of a lore question, really.
Right. So the lore is correct. I didn't see any issue, at least off
Really?
the top of my head, that I was like, oh, this is bad. This is wrong.
impressive.
Because when they did have something, like, for example, they just dropped a video today that was the horn thing that they used to like channel the blood in and like all that. That is a magic item that only exists in the movie. The helmet only exists in the movie. The staff of Hither Thither only exists in the movie, right? So you can't deviate if it's totally original.
Right.
Like there's no, I don't have an issue with
It would be
that.
just like if you had made it,
Right.
just
yeah.
homebrewed it.
I'd be like, yeah. And so that's there's no how can you be wrong? So I guess that's where it's like really like, okay, but now how did they homebrew? That's the fun part. That's where
Right.
you're really like, what's different?
Like,
What's
what
new?
item does she have on that allows her to wild shape infinitely?
Well, she's just a 20th level druid.
Yeah.
How many do you get?
Infinite if you're a moon druid, and she's
Oh.
clearly a. Are we gonna go into that?
I mean,
Let's go into it.
do we kind of want to start from the beginning of the movie and just kind of slowly work through it and just do
Yeah,
that?
you could do
or-
that. You could do each character breakdown, what you think their class, background, and
Okay.
maybe feats would be.
Okay, let's do that because I have a list of all the main characters here.
Do it.
So that'll
Let's
help.
do it.
So we've already kind of talked about Chris Pine's character, Edgin, who he is a
Very questionable. Very
a
questionable.
rogue bard, as we've talked about, who was a part of a society. I don't know if this is in other D&Ds called the Harpers.
Yep.
Is that
So the Harpers are very famous spy network.
okay?
Super relevant, super in lore. They're in Tomb of Annihilation if you're looking for a particular source off the top of your head. They're also in the Sword Coast Adventure Guide.
Okay.
So like they're there and relevant.
Okay. As someone who's not familiar, I did not know that. But Edgin, played by Chris Pine, starts off. He's a Harper. He does all the great things, and the conflict of the movie kind of starts when he, as a Harper, since he can't take any money for himself, he steals a piece of treasure from a Red Wizard's hoard.
Well, yes. But obviously, this is now spoiler including, but he doesn't do that in the beginning. He doesn't let us know until like late in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Spoils it. Late.
And then eventually the Red Wizard comes and kills his wife. But they have he has a young daughter who is kind of a main character throughout the rest of the movie.
Right.
And is kind of one of the driving characters. She's a side character, but she is kind of his main goal and focus of the movie.
Right.
Right. She's the MacGuffin. Or no, the MacGuffin is to bring the wife.
Yeah, the tablet of reawakening to bring
Yeah,
the wife
because
back.
honestly, they,
Another item
they
that's created
ultimately
for the movie.
never they
Yeah.
never use it for what they set out to use it for.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Which is interesting. I'm not super familiar with the Red Wizards of Thay, so I'm not actually sure if the blade doesn't revive them. But if so, that's a really cool way of doing that because otherwise you have spells like Revivify and Reincarnation and like high level magic that can just be like, yep, they're coming back. It's probably one of those things that's
I don't
like,
know. They made it sound more like it was just you couldn't be healed. Like you
no,
couldn't
I think
use,
it's like you
couldn't
can't
use
be
cure wounds on them.
revived.
Yeah, because at one point Edgin asked Simon
But he
to
literally
heal
did.
her, and Simon was like, she was stabbed by a Red Wizard's blade.
Yeah, that makes
Can't-
it sound like you can't cure wounds on them.
I mean, I feel like it was a combination of if you are stabbed by one of those and it will either kill you or you just can't be brought back if it does kill you.
well, I don't know about the
I
being.
don't know. I don't think I ever said that.
I don't know. We only see
Yeah,
two people
okay.
get stabbed. One person dies and the other stabbed through the heart.
So weirdly enough, this is a thing that's
an actual thing?
It's a very real thing and very relevant, and it's been around for a while. So this blade draws power from the negative energy plane, which hasn't been around for a while. But basically, yeah, it's just they developed I'm like blown away. The Tablet of Reawakening. Nope, didn't make it for the movie. Totally real.
Yeah.
All these things
Oh, really?
it was designed, created by the witches of Rashomon a longtime enemy of the Red Wizards to combat this particular thing that they developed.
Which is
One
the
of their
blade?
own, like, one of the Harper was captured, and then they tracked down the agent and used the dagger to slay. Like, it's like a really, like, there's a ton of lore.
Oh, interesting. We learn something new every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other thoughts about Edgin before we move on to Holga?
I thought Chris Pine did a good job. I do remember, speaking on the controversy side, hearing about how they were like emasculating a character in this show or in this movie, and that it seemed like it wasn't the case. I mean, it felt like they were undercutting
really
him in
notice it.
moments. No, not really.
Was he the character that they were set? I thought
think
it was a
so.
different character, just based on the
what
movie.
other. I mean, because there was the other guy who was the wizard or the sorcerer.
Right. I was
But, like,
thinking.
he had an arc from being very unsure of himself to becoming sure of himself, and he had a positive arc. It was really good, and
So
so
was
did.
the halfling guy.
Nope, I'm wrong. Sorry. Just
I guess there was the halfling
Well,
guy, but he was like
yeah,
a bit
It
role.
seemed organic to me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can talk about that more with Hilga's
Yeah, you're right.
character.
But
So
I thought Chris Pine's character was actually pretty well handled. Like they did subvert him and his competencies in certain cases, but it was to actually pretty well done comedic effect, and I don't know. It showed when he actually pulled stuff off. It felt more satisfying.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, and
So,
it
yeah.
also felt like just in the nature of D&D, like bad roles doing one.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
There were so many moments where I'm like,
Yes.
that was a bad roll or that was a good roll.
Somebody just failed
So
their-
by the way, the
failed their
lore I just
perception
read,
check.
the lore I just read was from the movie, and they already implemented it into the lore.
Ha.
They have already
Oh.
implemented the movie
So
into the lore.
anything that wasn't already in the lore, it is now.
No, the movie is now officially heckin' canon.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
cool.
don't doubt it.
So that's really cool. Which, sorry to interrupt,
No,
just
no,
my
you're
brain
good.
is now on a mental tangent of the idea that what this movie does is it brings a lot of people to care and attend this IP that they wouldn't otherwise,
Right.
which is cool. So anyway, what were we talking about? Sorry.
Yeah.
Nothing. We just final thoughts on Edgin before we moved on to Michelle
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
just a rogue,
Michelle's
and that's cool. And he's
character.
human, and I like human rogues. I would play one.
All right. So the next character that's on my list is Holga, played by Michelle Rodriguez.
Yes, the variant human.
Yes. I felt like she was a great actress for this role, kind of a barbarian human variant.
There was one scene where she sucked, acting wise, and it was the scene, it was the scene where she's riding with, or she's walking with Edgin,
Uh-huh.
and she starts talking to him, and there's like an ocean behind her, and she turns to him, and she says something, and I'm like, you're a really bad actress. There was just one moment, and then every other time, she was great.
Okay. I don't remember that
I don't
scene
remember
off
that
the top,
either.
but yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't stick out to me, but I know that like I liked how she like I think you mentioned this in the theater. She was like her character has low intelligence stats,
Dumb.
And it was
I
hilarious.
wrote that down.
but
She
it
was
like
was
an
low.
8 intelligence. She played it.
she was dumb.
hard
She
to
was
play
dumb,
low
but not an
intelligence.
idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny.
Yeah.
It was good.
Higher wisdom than
Good
intelligence.
barbarian. Good
Oh,
barbarian.
yeah.
Classic barbarian.
solid
Yeah.
barbarian.
Well, here's the thing. I told Jacob this when we were leaving, but she has a feat. And I don't know if you guys noticed that this woman only fought with objects, not her weapons, the whole time. She fought with a brick. She fought with her hands. She fought with the stuff in the blacksmith's place.
Yeah.
She had the Tavern Brawler feat, which is a feat that lets you use objects as weapons, and you gain like ridiculous, like basically
Yeah.
you can just like, I grab this brick. What is it, DM? Well, it looks like a throwing hammer to me. Cool. So 1d4. Bludgeoning damage done, and like that's how you can play that character. And so I literally was
Yep.
like, she took that feat and played it up.
I also like how they didn't play her as like she's never taking damage.
Oh
she's
yeah,
she's the barbarian. Barbarians are tanks. They're built to take damage, and you could see it. She got punched in the face several times and
lot.
just took it. Why? Because she's a barbarian, and that's what they do.
I also was really worried because she is the woman's strongman character, and that's so terribly done in movies sometimes.
It's overdone lately.
She
Yeah.
crushed it.
Only
and
lately.
no, I never had an issue
Pun
with her
intended.
being strong. I was like, yep. They never referenced raging, which I feel like they specifically did, probably because Vox Machina did so hard.
Right.
Right.
I feel like there was a scene where she did rage.
Oh,
but
yeah.
she just screamed,
Right.
and it was. I'm like, oh,
it was
that's like a rage moment.
it was completely ineffective because wasn't she like in the sand or
She
something
was
like
Yes.
yeah.
a high level wizard spell, so
Right.
it makes sense.
I
to
think
do
it's
more.
like a rug of smothering type thing, like the idea that the object that you're standing on is not real, and it's like a sand trap type thing.
No,
It's just a cool. I mean, just like maybe not. I'm just saying it's cool.
just mold earth it.
Just yeah, she
Yeah.
could have been molding the earth as well.
That's what I thought.
It's
it
not
was.
even that high of a
Because
spell.
it looked
Cantrip.
like the tiles on the floor were like getting cracked and destroyed as it
Yeah,
was
like
sucking
turning
them
into
in.
sand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
super
I,
cool.
I think she was well balanced by a few scenes that kind of showed the softer side of her character, especially with the halfling character we were talking about earlier.
I loved her
play-
last line.
What?
Why would you do that?
Oh,
You can be the halfling character. You mean the one played by Bradley Cooper?
Yes.
This is, we are past spoiler. Like you can just tell me. Like,
Yeah, no, it was. I was not expecting Bradley Cooper to be in that movie, and
yeah.
it was just
and
like,
he was
oh.
so good.
I liked this
Random.
character.
He probably had what 4 minutes of screen time,
Super
maybe,
great.
maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But
what
yeah.
are you doing
He,
here?
he killed it.
Yeah.
He's great.
He's a halfling.
Yeah. So, any other comments about Holger before
He's
you
so
go on to
small.
Zenk?
And clearly had a type.
Yeah,
Yeah. He definitely had a type.
yeah.
So did she.
Holga did not have magic either, which is an interesting choice as well.
Right.
To
Yeah.
juxtapose, she's a berserker or some kind, right? Like no magic. So it's just
Mhm.
interesting that choice, and also the magic items and like magic, not magic weapons. Like there was like 2 moments of magic weapons. There was
Yeah.
there was the
The blades in this
The-
scene where the guy's
But-
fighting the.
Yeah.
the DM NPC versus the mini boss
Yep.
that totally got wiped by a dragon.
Yeah.
Yes.
A fat dragon.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
he's a real character. He's a real thing.
Is he
That's
actually a fat
hilarious.
dragon?
Oh yeah.
Fat dragon.
That is not.
it-
That's and mean. That's not even having the lore that's
Uh-huh.
totally read to me incorrectly, and I hate that they already updated it.
Mm-hmm.
But just like, yeah, no, it's a real. That's the red dragon I would choose. Because if I was gonna choose a different red dragon for that group, like a Chardalon, I'd be like, cool. I cast the spell. You all die. I eat you. This is over. Because any other red dragon would have just tanked them.
Okay.
So yeah, it's nice that they found a way to include a dragon battle, but like not make it unbelievable.
Well, yeah, because
Right.
dragons are not bestial, but that dragon was a beast to you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Dragons are talking and smart and.
I mean, I
clever.
didn't see
The
any.
fat cat.
I didn't see any intelligence from that dragon.
And even the black dragon that they have breathe acid on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
was
pretty cool.
that was one thing I wanted to ask because I saw there were like 2.5 dragons in the movie, and there was the red dragon, and then I was
golem
gonna
dragon.
golem dragon. So the
Oh,
one
yeah,
that we
that's
saw
cool.
in the flashback was a black dragon. Okay.
Yeah, black dragon horns curl this way.
Okay.
They're like
Breathing
predatory.
acid.
They're very cat-like.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Very clearly.
Did you guys see? I mean, sorry to go a little off topic.
yeah,
but
you're good.
I was told like Vox Machina was supposed to show up in the arena.
They-
I never saw.
I was told that they were also, and I was told through many either spoiler online things and then friends and people who were like, "Yep, they're supposed to be in it." Didn't see them.
Yeah, I didn't. I
But
didn't see
I-
him
yeah,
either.
I did. Speaking of though, I
Maybe
did
it got
see
cut.
the entire cast of not the cast, but the entire like old D&D group. So if you watch the old TV show, when they like, first of all, they meet a character known as the Dungeon Master, and the first episode of that 80s TV show, they kill Tiamat, which the multi-dragon Lord Queen of a realm
First
of-
episode.
like the
Yeah,
BBEG of
the-
BBEGs.
Yeah, the first episode in the D&D 80s movie, they kill Tiamat.
What?
Yeah, no, it's silly. But she's the queen of all dragons, just to give you
Okay.
like some
Okay, thank
context.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And so she, chromatic dragons. I apologize for
Sure,
those
sure,
lore
sure.
nerds who are mad at, just like I am at them changing the lore already. But anyway, yeah. So like, what was I talking about?
the cages.
The characters.
The
in Vox
80s, the
Machina.
80s characters, the 80s characters are those characters. If you look, the barbarian's in there. He's the one who grabs one of the weapons out of the thing,
chest.
and then like they're
Yeah.
wearing. It
noticed
is the 80s
They
characters.
looked like one of the wizards like had a weird, simple green top hat
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's look them up on your phone right now, just for your reaction alone.
the wizard. Okay.
No, look up
Original.
the 80s D&D TV show characters, just for your own fun, because it's really, yeah. So who else?
So next on my list was Zenk, who plays.
Yes, he's the paladin.
Yeah, paladin, and I don't know. There seemed to be a lot of backstory for him that could have been expanded upon that they
Really?
didn't. Oh no, I mean he comes from the Thayan.
Hilarious.
He was Thayan too.
Yes.
Yeah. So he comes from the country where the Red Wizards come from, and he escapes as a young boy, and because of that, he was somehow marked and becomes a paladin from that.
Yeah. Yes. I've talked quite a bit.
Well,
Anybody else have an
No,
opinion?
you got. I don't know. I just thought he was a good character. He was definitely a balance of a action hero and comedic relief because he takes things very literally, and I think he even says at some point like irony is a tool that cuts both the user and the person
Cuts the person who uses it most.
something like that. So he was just funny, but he definitely was kind of a driving point. He drove the plot along because he has the helmet. He had hidden the helmet that the.
Do you have insight, Jacob? You're looking at me like you have insight. You can go ahead, just say it all.
Yeah.
No, it was like you told me, Jaden, how he was most likely a DM character, so he was technically an NPC.
Yep.
As referenced kind of by he didn't contribute much. He helped the party, but he didn't really contribute a whole lot of actual plot driving forward.
He contributed very specifically a lot and then stopped.
Well, no,
Yeah,
everything.
because he's
Listen,
an NPC.
everything he did not specifically place the players in a like he did not ever remove their agency. Chris Pine's character would sometimes be like, "No, don't do that." This character was never like, "This is what I'm doing that's going to intersect what you're doing." If you just like, I was paying attention, I was like, what is he here? Is he like a late character? Is this how we're gonna? No, he was so lawful good. He was so
much
like,
so.
Yeah.
here's the plot. Here's what you need to know, and then let's go to the place that you need to do. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna kill a character that really can't be killed, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to. Oh wait, a dragon encounter. Oh, my main character's about to die. What do? Dungeon Master's everywhere. I save him. And you're like, all right, cool. My plot isn't over. But then take for example, he did not tell them how to get across the bridge. Yeah, he did, but like he was like, this is the code. You got to do this thing. And then everybody's like, oh man, the overcomplicated puzzle. Didn't solve it for them though.
Sure.
And then like in the dragon scenario, didn't solve it for them though. He made them choose, right? Because he's that character. And even then, it's like my first thought, if I was a player, Paladin man, wear this helmet. Do this for me because you're amazing and powerful and wear the helmet.
That's
It was
exactly what
interesting.
Zank did, right?
Yeah, but no. The I'm saying give the helmet to the Paladin. Wear the helmet.
That's what
Paladin.
Zank tried to do, right?
No.
Or
He
no?
never wanted it at
Never
all.
tried to put that helmet on.
Zank is the
Never even considered it.
He was just the protector of it because it was
Oh,
given to
Zank's
him.
the paladin. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Not
So-
Simon. Not
Sorry.
Simon.
Simon tried to get Zank to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he did.
Did he?
I didn't catch that. I
Or
don't
he
think
tried.
so.
No, he tried to get Chris Pine to do it, or
Yeah.
someone else.
Zank-
Anyone else to do it.
Anyone
Zank-
else? Not him.
Zank gave Chris Pratt the helmet. Says, "Protect
Chris
us with
Pratt,
your Pine."
Ed.
Sorry, there are too many Chris's in Hollywood. There's Chris Evans, Chris Pine, Chris Pratt. There's too many Chris's. Anywho, Zank gives Chris Pine the helmet. Says, "Protect us with your life," and Chris Pine just automatically tosses Simon's like, "Hey, this is yours."
Right, and
Yeah.
that's
Fantastic movie.
it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's like the Iron Man. I don't like being handed things. It's just
Right.
a strong character choice.
So overall, he was a good character that was meant to help drive the plot along.
Always
Was that
delicate.
He was a character I thought would be annoying, and then was hilariously great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another thing that he does is this. I had this thought. I've read the Drizzt. Some people say Drizzt. I say Drizzt. Drizzt Do'Urden, who is the famous drow elf ranger. Just kidding. He's a fighter if you read the books. And everyone says he's a ranger. I'm like, he doesn't cast spells. Ever. Whatever. We're moving on. So he's the character, though, who was born into a society specifically designed to be evil, right? The Red Wizards of Thay, all of them, the Thayans, they're all evil, right? There's just no redeemable aspect to them. Okay, well, cool. Great. Then he's born into this, and then he bears the marking. So like Drizzt Do'Urden, he's a drow elf, dark skin, white hair, pointed ears, like all the things that you would mark him as someone who lives in the Underdark and who is evil, right? But he breaks the social norm, and he's a Mary Sue, which if you know what a Mary Sue
Yeah.
is, a Mary Sue is a character that just never is saved by the plot.
Or is just really good at everything.
Right. And so because that paladin fit that character, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the same character."
Palette swap.
it's the same character. So like if you're like, oh, he's so originally so cool, no, you're wrong. But that's also what makes that character cool to me.
Right.
Is that it's literally just another stereotype of Dungeons and Dragons being fed into a DM NPC.
Right.
So you're able to really enjoy that. It's just cool.
All right.
It's also a good character design.
Yeah.
He
If
looked
it ain't
cool.
broke.
He looked really
Yeah.
cool.
So let's move on to Simon, who is the human sorcerer in the movie, played by Justice Smith, as we said earlier. I think he had the second best character arc of the movie, with Chris Pine having the best one.
I know what I said to you in the movie now.
What?
I looked at you and I said, does he have low charisma?
Who?
Simon.
Simon. Yeah.
I said, is he a low charisma
yeah.
sorcerer? He's also a wild magic sorcerer, which is cool.
Yeah, that
a
was
little
cool.
moment.
What was
Or
that focus he was using?
I think that might just be the way that they were flavoring his wild magic.
I
Right.
think that was, yeah.
It's him rolling the D100.
It also
Yeah.
could be the flavoring of,
Really?
I think so.
That's what I thought as well when I saw it. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool way. Since as I played a character that's used wild magic, and so rolling that D100, not knowing what you're gonna get.
But that's such a good way of being like, instead of I can't control my magic, I'm gonna roll a D100 and
Yeah.
then something
It
bad
was,
happens.
it was more like he had this little thing on his belt that has all the spells in it, and he just can't grab them fast enough, so he's just grabbing something and throwing it out there.
Yeah.
just such a great idea.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But anyway, he was
Chris,
also the
you-
character that leveled up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely. Yeah. He definitely started off
Leveled up his
low
dating game.
Yes.
Took a feat.
Took a feat.
The whole movie he's trying to get with the next character we're talking about, Dork, who is a tiefling. Is that
Yeah.
that yeah. But yeah, he starts off low level sorcerer, and by the end of the movie, he's leveled up a lot, has gained a lot of confidence in himself, has been able to attune himself with the another MacGuffin of the movie.
You're right. He didn't
It's
take
another-
feats. He just increased his charisma score.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, I think he just became so what is charisma? The assurance of self.
Mm-hmm.
And he started with less and ended with lots more.
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe not the highest of the group, but
He
put a
was
lot of
definitely
points
at
into it.
minimum with 13 or something.
Yeah, well, because they didn't make charisma a skill that was like being persuasive. They made charisma being confidence.
Yeah.
And the paladin had so much, and then the
Oh, yeah.
sorcerer, by comparison, is just like I can't cast the spell. I don't know.
But yeah, no,
It's great.
yeah, I thought he was a good character, and he was a combination of funny and someone that people could relate to as a character.
Yeah, for sure.
He's the Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that he's like, I feel like this is their audience insert character right here
Yeah.
with his freaking social problems and like he can cast all these cool spells, but he just needs to get more confidence.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I thought I started this whole thing with saying that Chris Pine was the audience insert character, and then what it tells me is that you related to Simon and I related to Chris Pine's character.
No,
Yeah.
I see Simon as what most people think of D&D nerds.
Oh, good point. Actually,
Yeah,
that's a cool idea.
All right.
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah,
I'm just like,
which was nice because it was a respectful. It was. I mean, like, yeah, it's like they're dorky nerds. It's like yes, but also there's something to them, and it was respectful. Like he had a good arc.
had Simon been
Yeah.
cast as an older character, we would have had a problem with it, likely.
Yeah.
Right? Would have been like,
Yeah.
what a subversion of male stereotype, and like, make
Oh
it,
yeah,
it's like
another
no,
weak man.
Right? No, it's like a legit, like it's a kid who's just learning what it means to be confident. And that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
the character is probably, what, early 20s?
If
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have worked for the character if he'd have been different. Yeah. They played it well.
and his tie to Elminster, what basically like it's a cool idea, just being like, oh, his ancestor, because sorcerers are born with magic, so it's like just another. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
D&D. We're not going to change those things.
This
Right.
character was also entirely necessary because he had to throw some magic in there.
Yeah.
Well, you need an arcane caster. I mean, it's so
Right,
fun.
yeah.
yeah.
And it looked great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they
the-
cast. Well, I have one magic complaint. I'm going to use it now as the moment.
Go on.
Okay, yeah, may as
I'm
well.
pretty sure this man cast magic missile twice.
Oh yeah.
Right? Once he hit her, awesome, nailed it. All three,
Yeah.
awesome. He missed with magic missile.
More like magic miss.
You can't miss with magic missile. You can't. It's
You
not.
can't?
It doesn't.
Okay.
That's why you cast magic missile. It does little damage and it's a consistent hit. I played a wizard who only cast it.
How many spells did you count when they did that one like big long shot of them all like close quarters engaging the red wizard?
Oh.
I saw at least 7 or 8 from.
So you
I
had
was seeing it more in terms of like at the table,
yeah.
where I was like, she's using quite a few legendary actions here.
I mean,
Yeah.
she used what
Yeah.
misstep
But that's also,
Misty Step.
Yeah,
Yep.
Misty Step.
She cast Misty Step.
at least
times.
twice.
Oh, yeah.
At least twice.
I think 3. But also,
let's
that's
see.
accurate for a boss battle.
Yeah.
That she's going to use several legendary actions. And it's going to be a real fight.
I
And
wonder if
Wizard
like
Hand
you
was
went
another
frame by
one.
frame, if it was like every 6 seconds somebody did an action.
Oh,
that would
I
be
doubt
cool.
it, but that's
No.
so cool.
I wouldn't. I mean, the pace that they were going, I believe it could have done it.
Well, you had
was a
so
little faster
what
than that.
spells did we see in that movie? That's a fun conversation because we started time stop was in
Time
there,
Stop.
and
Yeah.
then you have shield that he tried to cast but he didn't, so that he cast reverse gravity,
Uh-huh.
and then you
Yeah, he
have
wanted to.
levitation. You have Bigby's hand, which was the hand battle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You have it's one spell that's like you turn somebody into a ball, whatever. That's an actual. There's a word for it. Don't
Oh,
remember.
like the
was like
bubble.
water.
That's
that-
the it starts with an O.
yeah.
It's whatever. It's like the weird thing you can put somebody in. Normally, I think it's an offensive spell.
There's Mold Earth.
Mold
Pretty
Earth.
sure that's what that was.
Uh-huh.
And
You
then
got
there's a few
magic
traps.
missile.
Oh, the
Speak with that.
tentacles.
Speak with dead.
Yep. With dead.
But what was the one? What was the one she cast in the initial heist when she was on the good guys for a sec?
time-
No. When
That
she
was
cast on the
Time
4
Stop.
guards, she was just like
Oh, the
Oh,
lightning.
the electric.
chain
yeah,
lightning.
chain lightning.
Chain lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
What a classic spell. And there's all those like super cool way of handling all those things that we're really appreciative of. And she cast like animate object or whatever it was.
Yeah,
when
for the
I think
stone
also
dragon.
that is a construct dragon from D&D. I'm like pretty sure that's not like the way that they designed that particular statue was like an actual monster.
That's
Like
cool.
It's a very cool way of doing those things. Owlbear. You can't turn into an owlbear.
I did like the.
Damn, is it cool?
They gave you the in-game mechanic of breaking concentration
When?
when she was no longer animating the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
like, got her and then it just fell. Yeah.
Yeah. Just went back to stone.
Speaking of that owl bear, let's start talking about Doric, who was the tiefling that we talked about earlier. What did you guys think of her character? Don't everyone speak at once.
Well, so I mean, I have a thought, but I'll be very obviously as I've been this whole time. I'll just be the bad cop of this movie. As even though I loved every second of it. Doric to me is the D&D character that doesn't have a reason to be with the party, but still is.
Yeah. It's
Oh
player
yeah,
character.
yeah. I mean, she even kind of said that. She said, like, when we're introduced to her, Simon's like, I know someone a druid that we can talk to, and introduce her. Great scene, I think. And she even says, like, I hate humans. You humans are
Yeah.
mean and ignorant and all of that.
She's definitely a player character, as opposed to Zarek, who is clearly an NPC, has every reason to be there, every reason to help you, and that's why he's there. Whereas her, it's somebody wanted to play a druid.
A tiefling.
Somebody wanted to play a
I-
tiefling druid.
Oh, dude, they
How can we
explained
fit this
her-
in?
Yeah, they explained her race super well. They handled that super well.
Yeah.
They were like, born to 2 human parents. They didn't want me.
Yeah.
What a very normal tiefling backstory.
Is that,
Well
I'm-
done. That was
Okay.
I did not have a problem with that. Like I expected her to be like as soon as she was like I'm a tiefling, I was like we're gonna get some edge princess here, and then nope, clean, easy, simple druid done.
Yeah.
So kind of the outcast of the party, but a good character.
She did a lot.
Yeah, she did a lot. She was
She
kind
did
of
a
she did a lot of the
Workhorse.
heavy lifting of.
Also, the reason I knew she was high level is because she turned to a fly.
Yeah.
Every flying creature, you're a certain level moon druid at that point.
So how many creatures did we see her turn into? I
You
tried.
wrote them down?
Quite a few.
I
All right,
let's see.
listen, Taylor.
Bird,
You paid attention.
cat,
Listen.
Me?
Yep.
owlbear.
Let's see. I
Oh.
wrote down a bunch of
What
them.
do you got? Don't say anything.
A fly.
Okay.
A hawk, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
A deer.
Yep.
Wow, I don't know. I'm trying to like. There's
I can
whatever
think
that
of-
white bird
Yeah.
beast thing is
Yeah,
called.
Owlbear.
Owlbear.
Yep.
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 Head owl,
Um,
body bear.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then
Nasty.
list.
There's
suck.
only one other one that I can think of
I
at the
kn-
moment.
okay.
There was the snake.
Yeah.
The snake.
Right.
The worm.
The acid. Oh,
That-
Oh
snake,
yeah,
worm, that was
yeah.
rat.
cool.
Cat.
Rat.
Cat.
Cat, mouse.
Yeah.
And I think it's called
Oh yeah.
Uh,
what were we talking?
Well, yeah.
No, not a cockatrice. It's not a cockatrice.
Oh yeah,
The-
That
the-
weird bird thing.
it's like an
The-
ostrich.
like the dodo ostrich
yeah.
thing.
yeah.
I don't know.
Chocobo.
Okay, so 9. So what?
I count 10.
So 9 or 10. That
Yeah.
I don't know. That's impressive. And she did them all in pretty rapid succession.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Looked very nice.
20th level druid.
Yeah, that I love that she got her like Hulk smashing Loki moment.
Yeah. No, I even put that on. Let's
was
see.
so good.
I said Doric Owlbear with Sofrina equals Hulk and
Smash.
Loki. That's exactly what I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly
for sure.
what that scene was.
Well, and it's like that it was hilarious in context, but then like also you're like, oh my god, that's so brutal. Like,
She's dead.
and imagine if it wasn't
dead.
like
Stop killing her.
a supernatural
But, like,
creature, but like a regular fleshy
But
human.
can't you like not kill them?
She's undead. That's what I'm saying. Like she's
So-
not alive. Another
So, you
thing,
know, double tap.
whole game was over if they have a cleric.
Because
Every-
Explain.
So if you have a cleric,
Uh huh.
this is a very easy campaign.
Okay.
Which also should be, for everyone who watches this movie, a reason why every party needs a cleric. Just thought that should be said out loud. But also, if you're a dungeon master looking to tell a good story, tell your players not to be a cleric, because there's clearly lots of room for fun. But like you have the Speak with Dead spell,
Uh-huh.
which is specifically referenced as having a cleric, right? You
Which
have-
Simon casts.
Simon
he
casts
had
that
some
spell.
kind of item to make that
right,
happen.
an amulet of Speak with Dead.
Sure.
Nailed it. Done. Like I do that kind of stuff all the time. I'm like, oh, you guys don't have a spell you need item that can
Right.
cast it.
Gotta keep the
Oh,
story going.
You need a helmet that can dispel that? Yeah, I got it. And so that happens a ton. But then you also have just like the idea of, okay, cool, you can
Turn
revive
undead.
the dead. You don't have to worry about that. You can have constant healing in the middle of a battle. Like there's not like I don't know, it's just interesting the way that like if you did have a cleric, somebody who was worshiping someone in that movie, imagine what that would have looked like. You have a character who's devout, worship to something in that movie. Because not once did Dungeons and Dragons talk about the gods, but
Right.
how relevant are the gods in D&D? Super relevant.
Right.
And so like you have a paladin. What does he worship? He's a harper. Nothing. You don't know.
Right.
The harpers are devoted to a particular deity, and so are the Thayans, and so are everybody is. But it's not needed.
Yeah, they kind of just stayed away from it.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Which is fine.
I feel like that probably was a producer decision.
You think?
Yeah, probably to make it more palatable to
well,
Well,
general
not an
audience.
issue. It's just
in a way,
interesting.
it's sort of you can only introduce so many elements.
It would just make
To a
things
new
way
viewer.
too complicated.
I mean that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
you can only do so many things that are different from normal reality before people are like, I don't know what's happening anymore.
But also, isn't Dungeons and Dragons the game known for being anti-religion, anti-Christianity?
Yeah.
The satanic game that no one
Satanic
wants
panic.
to. Right? It's like
I mean,
be an
historically,
element of it,
yes. I feel like in the past couple decades, things have softened on that a little bit.
But there could be an element of that as to why they shied away from it.
it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
it's a point
yeah,
worth
yeah, yeah.
making in
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like
Downplayed,
also
we'll say.
Right.
I would lean more towards the cinematic reasons why they removed it, and not that people wouldn't get it, because I think there's plenty of fantasy shows and,
yeah.
and movies where there's a lot of complicated, dumb like creation lore that like you hear once and it informs nothing in the story.
Right.
Sure.
And but like, so people are used to that, but like I think for a large mass appeal movie, they probably just wanted to stick with as much as like replicating the player experience as possible. And so I
think that was the point
because most D&D
of the movie.
fans I think would be like, oh yeah, I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like
Yeah.
people wouldn't
I
get
mean, yeah, you don't need a cleric, but what I'm saying is that the story is not the same with one. That was really my
Right.
point.
Yeah.
it. Did you see a cleric in the
Return Undead.
entire movie anywhere? I didn't.
I mean, no, but I mean, unless you're specifically looking for the cleric in the Dungeons and Dragons one, and you're like, there they are.
Well, like someone
But, like-
casting someone in the background or even
Healing
whatever.
someone.
Yeah,
No,
any
none
kind
of
of
that.
healing
At all?
magic. No, I didn't see any.
And
They,
even the
they
druid
kind of made
didn't cast
reference
spells.
to it. They kind of made reference to it in the blade that apparently you can't heal people, implying
There are clerics.
That otherwise you could.
Right. There are clerics. They
But
talked
that's
about it.
really the only. Yeah, you're right. We didn't
He
really
said
see
cleric. Like
anything.
they said it multiple times.
Yeah.
But
They just
we didn't
show
really
it.
see anybody.
I wish they had a bigger gladiator section. I wish we got
like
to see
the,
more.
the maze thing at the
Yeah.
end.
I want to see
feel
the
like
director's
that
cut
got
of this
caught
movie.
a little short. Yeah.
I want to see the
Yeah.
director's cut
Think
of this
so?
movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like 5 hours of content.
I'm guessing Vox Machina's cameo was probably they were.
It got cut.
Well, no, I think they were probably in those background D&D
Well,
characters
because I had
that
thought
got killed or something.
I thought I saw Matt Mercer on a horse, and I was like, "That's Matt Mercer." No, I'm just like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
really was
Yeah.
just like, was it? Because like there's
Well, you knew
moments
what
like
you were
that.
looking for.
I was trying to find his face, because evidently they're in there, but
It's probably just very Easter eggy. Not-
Very-
Or they,
like,
may,
watched this movie 4
or they
times.
may have been one of the characters that they had practical effects for, like one of the Dragonborn or the Air Cockroach.
well, I mean, here's the thing. I was like, is this dwarf
That
in
Eric
makeup?
Cockroach.
This dwarf in makeup that gets killed by this monster.
What is that cat
Is that
creature?
well? That guy, I'm like, or not dwarf or like whatever he is. I'm like, I think it's a dwarf.
Displacer beast.
The displacer beast. Is that what we're talking
Is,
about?
is that what
yeah,
that's called?
the
Okay,
the
I just
panther
had-
with tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a displacer beast. But no, I thought maybe the guy in makeup who was like looking at him and like
Yeah.
that guy, I thought maybe was like Matt Mercer in makeup, right? You know what I mean? Like you don't know.
Right.
I'm just like staring, looking for these moments, but it's I don't know. The displacer
I don't know.
beast.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I felt,
okay.
I felt like the arena was as long as it should be because of the flow of how it was going. Where this is not like a trial. This is a trap.
No,
Yeah.
it definitely
Yeah.
was well paced. I don't think it.
Only because
it
of how they
served it.
got. If that was like Plan A, is we're going to go into the arena and we'll win there, so that we'll be able to go up to here, and then we'll be able to get to the place we need. Then I think it would have been a little longer. But because they were kind of thrown into it as you're going to die here, they didn't really do the arena.
Yep.
It
Thing.
wasn't necessarily.
They just
a
tried
main-
to get out.
Such
Not-
a
Right.
player thing to do to your DM. Hey, I got this whole arena thing, 3 events, and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, we're going to go this way and then just get out of this.
Oh,
fast we
you
can.
you go into the
Yeah.
the
into the acid cube.
Oh, okay.
You do that.
Yeah.
and I
and
stick
yep,
my finger out.
The gong
Sure.
does go off, guys. It does. Oh, you're a snake. Cool.
I mean, if this was an actual campaign, that would, I'm sure, make the DM very frustrated. But it just shows the problem-solving nature of
Yeah.
D&D.
It's super
Yeah.
good. Really
Yeah.
good.
Great move, but he's
I-
right from the DM's perspective. It's like, oh,
I thought Forge was a good addition to the story too.
Yeah, that was going to be
Yes.
the next character we talked up. Hugh Grant's character. He was a con man human that was kind of not the main protagonist, but kind of the most prevalent protagonist. Sorry, antagonist.
Antagonist. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
With Sophina, the Red Wizard, being the main antagonist.
He is.
Right.
He is. For no other, I will say nothing else about him because I think he only serves as a foil to Ed.
yeah.
That is his whole purpose.
Completely agreed.
Yeah.
He's also just kind of a guy who's just doing things, except he's more of a jerk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the gist of his character. He's a con man trying to get rich, and he doesn't care the consequences to anyone else.
Yeah.
Killed by the DM NPC at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm noticing irredeemable villains making a comeback finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is he's an evil bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it.
Well, in Dungeons and Dragons,
That's
that's the way it goes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's, no, we're not going to try to save. You need to kill him, otherwise it's going to kill you. Have a nice day.
Yeah. You can't talk him out of it.
Good point.
All right. Any other anything else you want to say about any of the characters specifically?
Well, we also have. Do you have no other characters listed?
I mean, I have Sophina,
Do it.
the red. Okay, let's talk about Sophina, the red
Yeah.
Red Wizard.
Well, I already talked about her, sort of. So,
Yeah. I don't know. She definitely, as someone who has very little experience with D&D overall, I thought she was a good character who was just irredeemably bad. She wanted to bring back her master so that she and all the other red Thalen wizards, or not Thalen.
Is that what it was?
Thayan.
Dan,
Was that
Thane.
the plan?
Thalen is from
uh,
Stormlight Archives. That's different.
I think she was just trying to take over the city.
Well, I thought she was
Couldn't
trying to
see
make
that
all
way.
those undead.
She was trying to do what Saz Tam did.
Yeah, in
Fae.
a different place.
I
yeah.
think she was following his orders. I don't know if it was to bring him back though.
I'm not sure he was dead. Or
Well,
Saztam is a lich.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's undead.
He's the second most famous lich in all of Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, he was kind of hinted at a few times in the movie, but he didn't really play that much of a
No.
pivotal role in
Right.
the movie.
You know, when you, Jacob, take off your headphones and go grab me the monster manual.
Okay.
Pretty please.
I'm gonna find you a
So-
picture of Saztam.
So as
Oh.
that is happening, so yeah, I mean, I thought she was a good bad guy. We didn't pay too much attention to her throughout the movie, but she definitely was the antagonist that the main characters were trying to
mechanics
defeat.
wise, they made it very seemingly obvious to me that he was casting a ritual spell there at the end because it took forever.
Shabba-dabba-dum.
And she was
So-
very concentrated. The part
Is
that
that
kind of
him?
Yep.
Wow, he opened straight to it.
I have it labeled L.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, that's very
Oh, let me get the camera. Mom, get the camera.
Saztam. There he
yeah.
is.
That's a very good
Page.
depiction. They did a good depiction
Page
of
is
that person.
Page 202 of your monster manual for those following along at home. Yeah, so,
So, yeah.
the reason that I thought it was super cool that this like Saztam was the choice is just because he's super
He's-
famous.
he's
Right.
Yeah.
The question I had for all of this is, why did that plan at the end work?
You know, that's a great question. It seems like the ritual.
It feels
They
like
didn't,
she
like-
kind of succeeded, and then for some reason,
She just went after them.
like, if you see tons of completely red smoke coming down, I feel like I don't need to run after riches at that point. I could just leave.
Yeah, but as a DM,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to say that's like
D&D-wise.
that felt like a hand the DM hand waved like, oh, you distracted her. Like,
Well, sure, they all left, and somehow that's not going to go far enough out of the arena. Okay, so she needed everyone in the arena. That makes sense as to why we're in this situation to begin with.
no, I agree with you. There should be a second movie, and it should start with she succeeded.
Well, I'd say it's, to me, it was more like it was actually very similar to what you see in D&D, where it's like it's just the timing was a bit off.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they had done that 10 minutes before she was, or 5 minutes before she was done, and she was casting that ritual spell the whole time and didn't notice because she was concentrating fully on that, and by the time that she finished it and started going, there was no one in there because they were outside looking for the riches, looking for the stuff,
Yeah.
treasure falling out of the air.
I get what you're saying.
Talk about inflation.
Sure.
That's so funny.
He made the joke. He made the joke in the theater last night to me
That's
too, and I
so
laughed. It was
good.
hilarious.
That's
great.
so good.
Yeah, that would have made sense to me. But like movie wise, I get why they did it in that order.
Well, this is why I'm going back to. I want to see the 5 hours of extra footage they have because there's no way in Ham Sandwich that this movie was put together in this way the first time. There's just no way.
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder how long it took to film. If it was one of those COVID casualties that got pushed back like 5 years or something like that.
I don't know because it definitely seems like it's at the wrong end of all the D&D hype.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think this is saving the brand of D&D.
It really is. Hasbro's D&D.
Hasbro.
So that's a question that I have been thinking about for a while when we first started talking about this is how does the recent development of all the stuff with Wizards of the Coast, does this movie save them? Does it hurt them? How are people going to look at D&D with all the controversy before and this movie that all of us seem to think is a good movie that people should go watch?
Can I give the layman's
Do it.
take on
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So basically, my thoughts are this saved D&D for all the normies and all the fans out there that are just players.
Like the casual people.
Yes, and it put a Band-Aid, like some aloe lotion maybe on the
Some triple antibiotic.
on the basically reputation that had just been kind of formed from this whole controversy with the content creators and the DMs out there. But I don't think one movie is going to be enough to repair the damage that's been done, like the loss of trust. So like people, I think D&D is going to still remain popular, and this movie and its success, as we'll find out
Can
probably.
help with that, yeah.
I think it'll be evidence of that. But I don't think that it repairs the trust that's been lost between like the hardcore D&D base and Wizards of the Coast.
Do you think the movie was changed at all because of the recent controversy?
Definitely.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way that they didn't try to adjust it as much as they could leading up to the release because of this.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, the I feel like, I mean, we're now in territory where I can get a little political, I feel like. Yeah. But just
If you don't want to watch political stuff, turn off now.
don't leave, stay for this.
Just leave it running in the background.
But the context of that is the movie opened with what? Thank you for coming to the movie theater, getting out of your home, and being in COVID. And it just feels like an anti-stay-home message that these filmmakers, and I know Chris Pine's got a loaded family with a lot of influence, so all I'm saying is that this movie felt like it got made with that in mind. It got made with a
2020 mindset.
Well, it got made with a anti
2020
mindset.
Yeah.
And that makes this movie the weirdest diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
I will say though, they're not the first movie to do that though since
Oh.
2020. Like I've seen several in the movie theater that have a pre-movie.
Thank
of
you for
the-
coming to the movie in a
correct.
movie
Yeah.
theater.
Oh,
To
really?
promote
Okay.
people to continue to do that again. So I will say it's not the first time.
So
But
will that?
it's small though, but yes.
Right.
What was another
So will this be a growing trend? Is
Top
that-
Gun do
answer that question.
They
No.
did.
Top Gun
They
did
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
They look-
yeah, Tom Cruise did
They
say
did.
something beforehand.
Tom
I forgot
Cruise
about
looked a lot more comfortable delivering his thank you, though.
that. Yeah. yeah. The one that all the
Yeah.
actors and actresses gave. It felt awkward.
You're the real heroes.
Dude,
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez's face, she said, "You are the real heroes." And then she just went,
I'm being.
I just said that.
Just say this.
The character that played Doric looked so uncomfortable
Yeah.
while they were filming
Well,
that.
you know why though. Look her up on her Instagram on your own time.
Wait, Doric, who's that?
Which
one was that?
The redhead.
The-
Tiefling.
The Drew. Okay.
Yeah, the actress's
She
name
was-
is Sophia
She
Lillis.
is the type of girl who would play the tiefling at the table. Just put it that way.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So overall,
Sorry for people who
no,
like tieflings casually. I have a tiefling character. Like, I get it. I'm just saying you get it too if you get it.
Okay.
You know.
Gosh, we're alienating our audience.
So overall, the movie helped, but may not repair all of the damage.
I'd
that
say it
was
helped
done.
with popularity
Oh,
yeah.
for
because
sure.
they did it well.
Do you like
Definitely,
D&D now, Taylor?
Yeah, I would play. Like I think
Yeah. So,
Great for me.
Well, like,
so is this movie going to bring a lot more new people into D&D?
Oh,
You think-
definitely.
you
Oh
think
yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I feel like I know like like our parents in the 80s, like that was a huge thing, and then, like so it brought to us. But like, what about the next generation? I feel like this was a good start for a push of that.
Yeah, it's
as
gonna be
well.
for people that have never seen D&D. Like, so it's like that, and we're like, yeah, it's kind of like that.
It is
Right.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
So do you think for the people who have been playing D&D since the 80s, do you think that they would like this movie as
Yes.
well as the modern era of D&D players?
Like I'm on over a decade of D&D, and I'm not saying that that's like as much as some people who are super into this hobby,
Uh-huh.
but also that is, if you look at like, that's just so much D&D. Wow, sorry.
No.
For them,
No, you're
the most
good.
important part is
D&D.
probably don't completely ignore the lore and
Yeah.
don't butcher the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you
just
do-
have fun with it.
If you do it in a
Make-
way that
make
feels
it
like Rule of
organic.
Cool. It like
Yeah.
feels correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It never felt wrong. I was never disappointed because she's turning into an owlbear, fine. But she's also not casting plant growth, and she's not casting spells.
Right.
She's just transforming.
Right.
Fine. I don't mind.
Uh-huh.
Like it's cool the way that they kind of handled all those weird changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Man. And this dice.
Yes, yeah. So this dice we got at the theater when we got a large popcorn, right?
Something like that, but
Yes.
it's not important. We got the dice.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's super cool. It's a it's a D20 that can open and it is D&D
What an
themed.
unfortunate place to place the lid. Like if I was gonna design this,
Yeah.
I'm gonna critique them. If I was gonna design this, I would have placed it
So you could open it from the top.
so that I can leave it flat and open it. Oh, the way they did. Never mind. That's right.
You can, but it still opens from the side-ish.
Yeah, but
It's
now,
not the
if I'm
top.
eating popcorn at my D&D table, I can. No, it's still bad.
I wish
it's
they
top
made
heavy.
the clasp a
Oh,
little
we're
better.
gonna make the class better.
We're gonna fix this so that we can. But
So you
like
can
right
roll
now,
it.
if you try to roll it, it like just it opens. You
opens
didn't
up.
see it on camera, but it
It-
opens up.
I'm gonna make it out of metal and then weld it, and then
So you want to
We're gonna
destroy
make
the
a-
table? That's
Yeah, we're gonna find a way.
Step
Yeah.
1: form a crucible,
gosh, such
iron ore.
or what? Sorry. But there was a
Yeah.
lot of that kind of banter in that movie too. I just want to say, like, that movie very much felt like. That's why, like, as a dungeon master, I'm very happy because most of my D&D has just been dungeon mastering, so I'm pleased. And then as a player, you're like, yeah, I can see myself doing that.
Yeah.
If it,
And I could see this happening
yeah,
in this way, where there's certain things, especially like the things that I was like, that doesn't seem quite right. It seems like the not quite right of, well, that's the way the DM wrote it because that's what they thought of at the time, which makes it okay.
when you drop this video, I need you to do something for me.
Okay.
I'm telling this with the audience in mind.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
I want you
Where's
to
Where's
drop
this going?
a poll at the same time that says, do you say, he gets it,
Yeah.
do you say Aarakocra or Aarakocra? Because I hate to break it to the audience, we all say Kakra because it's like a chicken,
American.
cock,
Yeah.
not Coke.
Okay.
I would just say for the YouTube robots, say Eric Cochra instead of just.
Oh,
You think so?
you can bleep that. You can bleep that. They know what I said.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been going for a while. Any last thoughts before we give our ratings out of 10 individually?
Just go see it. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
probably echoes everyone's
Yeah.
sentiment at the table.
It's definitely a movie that's,
It was worth watching.
yeah, like I said earlier, something to see with friends, good for all ages, not inappropriate, not bloody, something that,
Not woke.
And if you
Yeah.
wonder what your 40-year-old son's been doing in his basement for the last 20 years, go find out.
all right. Well, before we end this, let's have everyone go around and give what they think out of 10 of this movie.
10 being the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1 being The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
We have gone based real fast.
And 10 being
fired.
10 being the best movie.
Okay.
Ever.
All right.
So let's
Why don't we start with Jake?
Yeah.
Sure. I'd probably say an 8. I felt like it was well balanced all throughout. I felt it, the movie made me feel things throughout it, and so that's usually how I judge my movies based on. So I would give it a solid 8. I'd go watch it again.
Yeah, I would say probably about the same thing, about 8.5. There were a lot of good lines in the movie, like quotable lines. I feel like every movie nowadays tries to do that, but there were a few that were really good. One specifically from Chris Pine that I can talk about if we're done with
What
this.
was the line?
Go on. We have to hear it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wrote it down, but you got to keep failing at things because as soon as you stop failing,
You fail.
You failed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good line.
Yeah, which it doesn't make sense of, like when you're first thinking about it, but
Fantastic.
But yeah, no, it is a reminder that no matter how bad things get, you got to keep trying because once you stop trying and once you stop failing, you can't improve.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a good
It's a good lesson in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a movie without a. Yeah. It's good.
yeah. And there were a couple other very quotable lines. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but that was the one that stuck with me.
Yeah.
All right, Andy.
I've been thinking for a few seconds now.
How does it feel?
He's lost concentration.
I'd say 8.
Yeah.
I don't give 10s because I'm a measurement specialist. Can't be perfect. That's not possible.
I'm a measurement.
It's my-
I
a
know.
good job.
It's your title.
Yeah.
But the real question for me is, would I watch it again? I think I might.
Oh.
Which is saying something.
That's
for me because
high praise
I
for you.
Yeah.
This is
don't
high praise for me.
really. There's
You watched like
you count on one hand.
shows over and over barely, and it's only like 2.
I've watched a couple movies twice,
Wow.
but only a couple.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's high praise from Andy then.
I want to watch it where I get to talk to you guys the whole time. Really
Yeah.
badly.
Right there.
Just
Yeah.
like in our home theater. I want to watch it
Yeah.
where we just go, that's like when you like I want to do
That's
that.
probably
going to
happen.
Yeah.
that would be really cool
Once
to
it
do.
comes out.
That very well may happen.
All right, Taylor.
I'd say 8.5, only because
Ooh, a half.
I know. Only because like I feel like they
Well, that's some
did
shit.
such a good job of a wide audience. I feel like a lot of movies are really narrowed down on our generation or the next, or I think they did a really good job not making it kiddish, but enough for everybody to relate through the whole thing.
Movie
So-
for all ages.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, DM.
All right. So here's the thing. I think I'm going to give it a 9, but the only reason I'm giving it a
Ooh.
9 is because of the movies that have been coming out lately.
Okay.
Now, if we're going to be genuine movie critics, like legit movie critics of all the movies to have ever come out, man, this movie's a 7.5. Let's not even pretend.
Oh,
Yeah, totally.
Right?
I'm just saying currently.
But from the movies that have come out over the past year, I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Top Gun Maverick.
Really?
Yup.
Okay.
But also, I'm a super fan of what this was. So
Fair.
that's its own thing.
little
but
biased.
like,
Yeah.
you're asking what my personal opinion is.
Yeah.
This movie's a 9 out of 10.
Sure.
Okay.
Almost a 10 if it didn't have a weird pacing issue towards the end.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
otherwise,
that's fair.
it's a 9 out of 10.
Okay. And Zane with our cinematic.
Yeah, film school.
Yeah, film school critic.
I'll split the middle and go 7.8 out of 10.
Okay.
7.8.
It's not quite a 7.5. It's not quite an 8. 7.8.
Okay.
And-
Okay.
And since you
Is that your
have
genuine? That your genuine?
That's generally where I feel
Okay.
it lands up.
Okay.
Like, and it's like a really good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think if I was a inherent like a Dungeons and Dragons like super fan, I'd probably appreciate it a lot more, and I do appreciate it from the amount of fandom that I do have for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get a 10.
Here's the thing,
Should
though.
be.
I just
Yeah.
am sort of realizing, though, like, there is this weirdly, the fact that this movie, like you're saying, appeals to a tremendous amount of people, and the only way for you to internalize this lore is if you are one of 7 people at a table. Like for example, like I'm weirdly like, yeah, there's a bajillion DMs, right? But of your friend group, there's probably one of you. And I'm the one who's blessed with knowing all this lore. Because I'm the one at the table who goes through and I have to figure it out so that I can run these games. And you guys get to be blessed with like whatever gets taught to you, whatever you learn. You're like, the Harpers? I don't know. Is that real? Sure. It doesn't matter. It's in the game, And like, and I'm out here like, the Harpers are a spy network and I know what they do and I know who they're up against and I know why. And it's like, but that's super cool. And it's sort of like that it, like you're saying, it appeals to everyone
Yeah.
and also me.
As a part of
That
everyone.
was a
Right.
difficult.
That's crazy.
That's a very. I think they
Yeah,
pulled
it's not
off.
easy.
They pulled off a really difficult challenge here, which was
Yeah.
they were in the midst of a PR crap storm.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was not a good time to come out with a D&D movie, and then, or it was, and
Maybe.
depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
And also, it's a very niche hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to please the fans, you have to be so specific in what. Because there's other D&D movies that have come out and they've just sucked.
Awful.
Like
Mortal
fans, and,
Kombat.
yeah, fans and normal people,
You get it.
viewers like hate it. So they hit that middle ground of like pleasing the super fans, pleasing the normal audiences, and then also being somehow
What
a
about
kids
pleasing?
movie.
I would say not betraying.
Yeah, not betraying. That's
Yeah.
a good way of putting
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like and then somehow it's also a movie that like your kid, you'd probably be fine letting your kids watch.
Do
Like you
have
said,
hope-
no
sorry.
blood and gore for some reason.
No, well, for for
we
that
have-
key.
I think they wanted
key
to keep
demo
it
reason.
PG-13.
Do you have a
That's right,
last
that's
question,
right.
or was that your like big
Yeah.
finale question?
No, that was kind of the big thing. I mean, I originally was going to say, do you recommend seeing this movie? But we've already talked about it.
Yeah.
a lot.
Right.
Well, so
Definitely-
I have a question
definitely
though that I'm posing to everyone.
Uh-huh.
Do you have hopes for a sequel?
Ooh.
And do you have hopes for an expansion of the IP? As in, like, do you hope to see a rated R D&D movie? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like-
Deadpool D&D.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
if it does take off in a way that I hope it does, which is everyone gets addicted and loves the IP, and then they start to realize they can tell infinite stories in it, like Star Wars.
You want to see like a grimdark type of?
I want to see.
Star
I
Wars.
want to. I know. I want to see cut your head off, and there's so much blood, it's silly.
Vox
DM.
Machina D&D.
Yeah, because I love that level of D&D. That's what I DM for. I'm like, yeah, she's in half. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you're just like, ugh, right? But it's obviously in your head. So
True,
when
a
it's on
little bit different.
When it's on screen, it's a little bit of a different thing. But I'm just saying, I want to see a sequel of this movie.
They could do it.
so bad.
They could do it. Sequel or just another?
Yes or yes.
I feel like the movie was perfect as a standalone. Like if they
Yeah.
did not make a sequel, you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
All the storylines
I think that's what they should do.
Yeah,
I would love
it's
for
great.
for it to be anthological. So like if they did make another D&D movie, like maybe it references this party, but it's a totally new party.
Oh, that'd
in
be
a
great.
totally new
Yeah.
situation.
Well,
Yeah.
what if you did? Wait, here's an idea. What if you did the same cast,
Oh,
different characters?
that would be
be
super. That would be
fantastic.
very
That-
meta.
Yeah.
Then you'd
that
be
would
establishing a canon of what who's
you'd be
playing the D&D.
exactly. You know who's playing.
Yeah, that's I would
That-
love.
that would be really
You can
cool.
even bring back NPCs as well to kind of indicate that it's the same DM who's doing
Yeah,
it.
Zank's character
And
is
they kind of
another
have the same.
Yeah.
Hire me.
Play style
I'm
of
between jobs right
NPCs.
now. Hire me.
That's
All-
funny.
All right, so according to our math budget, which I looked into, did some quick math. We overall rated this a 8.46 as a table.
Wow.
8.46.
Someone check my math, please, because see, 8,
It's right.
8.5.
I looked
8.
over your shoulder.
I'm
It's
an
right.
engineer.
Okay,
I can't
okay.
do math.
Okay.
It's right.
Can't do math.
He's a measurement
I
specialist.
know.
Wait a
What?
second. Wait a second. So yeah,
There's so many jokes I'm gonna hit you with it later.
so any last second thoughts?
Take us out, Ross.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching our first Roll to One review. Hopefully you found this entertaining. We definitely recommend you go see the movie. Go ahead and like and subscribe and leave comments saying what you thought about the movie. See if you agree with any of our points. If you don't, tell us. If
We love to hear it.
we'd love to hear it.
Just target me. I know it's me.
All right. Well, I guess
At
with
Jaden.
that,
Shut up.
have fun playing games and enjoy the movie.